And if you don't know, now you do know. This is Gunz. This is the Gunz Show, the greatest city in the world. Let's go. Let's go. New York City. It's your boy Gunz here, the Gunz Show. I am stoked, feeling all the positive vibes right now, all the positive vibes, because it feels so good when somebody has worked so hard at their craft, at their trade, and be able to exemplify their talents to the masses out there. And this man has done it. Feels so good because it's all coming to fruition right now. I'm talking about my man, grandson on the Gunz Show. Boom.
Back on the Gunz Show. What is this, round 2, round 3?
Yeah, we're up there. I think we're at 3 now. Yeah. How about that for a couple,
man? It's good to see you again.
How about that for an intro? Did that send the positive vibes?
Dude, I'm fired up. I'm ready to go to work.
Listen, man, so good to see you. Got a lot to talk about. Of course, we got the new album. We got the single that's gone platinum. We got ripping up the radio charts, Billboard charts, all of that. We'll get to that in a second. But first off, my man, haven't talked to you in a couple months. Talked to you on social media, but how is grandson doing? How are you doing personally these days, my man?
Man, grandson's doing all right. I think I'm in the same boat as a lot of people. It's kind of like getting your head around a pandemic is like getting your head around depression or addiction. You know, you get on a good path and then you can go through hard days. So I'm doing good. It's been up and down, but overwhelmingly just happy to have the album out, happy to be connecting and knowing that the songs that I'm writing seem to be like resonating with people. That's a good feeling, and just doing what's in my control and doing my best to let go of what I can't. So yeah, I'm just happy to be back hanging.
It's kind of wild because, I've interviewed a ton of artists, and in the beginning it's like, oh, well, if everyone just is inside for 2 weeks, we'll be fine. And then 2 weeks turned to 2 months, and then 2 months turned to 8 months, and now here we are. So a lot of artists were kind of stuck in the beginning. Like, do we release the music? Do we hold on to it? We can't tour on it, but do we still put it out? And I literally was like, if there's any time to put out music, a lot of people are hurting these days, man, and need that escape. They need that distraction. They need something to look forward to. And you putting out the new album, man, gave a lot of songs that people can now focus on. I think that's huge.
That's exactly what my logic was. It was just like, if my music is what I say it is, which is, a tool for people, a vehicle for people to be transported to somewhere where they can stand up for what they believe in and feel a sense of resistance and rebellion, then now is actually the perfect time. The strategy aside, of course, I want to be on tour as much or more than anybody else in the whole world, but that doesn't change the relationship that I've been building here. Like, I've spent 3-4 years now as grandson promising, if you come to this community, then I got your back and that we're in this together. So it just didn't feel right to hit radio silence for a year. I remember when the pandemic hit and the tours got canceled one by one, it became kind of like, well, hopefully by spring 2021 we'll be back at it. And it was like, that's a year and a half away. Like, there's a lot I can do in that time. So I put out damn near 20 songs last year. I did a ton of collaboration and got a little more comfortable, whether it's doing interviews or sessions virtually, meet and greets virtually, and trying to wrap my head around what already felt inevitable, which is the reliance on social media, on technology, and the way that we as artists have now become this interdisciplinary content creator thing. Right. I think all that was inevitable before this pandemic, but here we are. I just think it's been accelerated. So I was like everybody else. March, April, you couldn't get me out of bed. I was just going, what the fuck is the point? Like, what am I even doing? Who has time for an album right now? But as we've all, I think, gotten our heads wrapped around this thing, it's been a little easier, and I'm just grateful more than anything that I do work that is fulfilling, that I'm connecting with people, and that the music's doing well, because if it wasn't, it would be 10 times harder.
What I've noticed a lot is, sometimes in times of stress or trouble, whatever you want to name it, some people are able to adapt. Some people don't. Some people expect things to still be handed to them. Other people realize that you have to work twice as hard now because shit's gone differently. And one of the biggest things that I really appreciate about the Gunz Show has been an outlet for bands that are trying something new, or perhaps, joining Twitch and doing gaming with their fans, or doing these live streams are all the rage these days, of course. And some bands have, gone and been doing that, and I've been giving them a platform. Others haven't so much, and to each their own. But one thing that you've done, man, has been staying very vocalized with your fan base, with the grandkids out there, with the new listeners, and trying to do live streams or the virtual meet and greets, or at least talking to them and tweeting, hey, things will be better, or just being vocal with them. And that's all one can ask for of an artist these days. And you really have propelled and gone up and beyond. And I really, really respect that, man.
Thank you. It means a lot.
Did you, does it work back and forth? Is kind of what I mean. Like, do you get the same satisfaction speaking with the listener as the listener gets from listening to you?
Man, that's complicated. I think for a lot of artists, it's really their own cathartic. Like, a lot of the time, I just have shit to get off my chest, whether or not anybody's listening. Sometimes for me, the therapy is the actual process of expressing it. People always joke that there's such contrast between the me that I am in social media and with my friends, and the music that I make being so heavy and so dark at times, when really it's like, no, the music thing and having this outlet is what affords me the ability to be more chill in my personal life, to not take this anger and frustration with me into my relationships. I'm pretty laid back because I was so lucky when I was 13, 14 years old to learn that writing and making songs was how to get that out. So I think a part of it is just my own journey, my own expression. Of course, it feels good to know that it's connecting with people. Number one, it just means that what you're going through you're not all that alone in it. And a lot of the time when we suffer in silence. It's hard to ask for help. It's hard to talk about the things that are holding you back. And when I make songs about the very frustration I have, or questions of, is all of the work that I'm doing to be my best self going to pay off in the end? Like, that is such a central theme of my album, and to watch it be resonating with millions of people reminds me that, we're all going through that, and clearly there is something here that's worth doing. So I do get a lot out of this. I feel so lucky that anybody gives me the platform that I have to ask these questions. And whenever you're going through depression, or whenever you're struggling, I think one of the most helpful things you can do is just dedicate your time to making life better for somebody else. There's this weird paradoxical thing that in removing yourself and just trying to be there for somebody else, whether it's your sibling or your partner or a stranger that you just met on the internet, when I focus on using this platform and holding space for fans, I just feel better. So it is selfish all the way around. I really do enjoy it, having this job. It's the best job in the world.
But it's a positive selfishness, but that's okay, because you are delivering. Listen, if it works for you, it works. And it's not only just working for you, it's working for other people as well, because so many people are winning from this and just bringing about the positive nature out there. We're speaking here with my man Gunz. New album out now. It is your boy Gunz here from the Gunz Show. Make sure to subscribe on Spotify, iTunes, everywhere. Of course, idobi Radio. Before we delve into the album, because I haven't had the chance to tell you how much I do love this album, I want to do one more personal-oriented question. We have been stuck inside, and we've gone through highs, lows, mentally, physically, emotionally, all sorts of craziness. And anybody who says that they haven't dealt with shit is a goddamn liar, because we've all been fucked up in our own way the last year.
Yes.
All right? But have you, and I like this question because I've asked everybody, what was one thing that maybe got you through those first couple months, or did you learn a different skill? For example, a lot of people were doing puzzles. I haven't done a puzzle in
Yeah.
15 years. All of a sudden, like, puzzles are sold out on Amazon. Or like cooking banana bread. I don't know how to cook, but suddenly I know how to make banana bread. People are building like bookshelves. What was one thing that you kind of did that you don't normally do?
Yeah, I think that if quarantine was like a show, then there have been very clear seasons to quarantine. I had
Yes.
Sopranos season. That was early on.
Yes.
That was like 2 hours a night for 2 months was Soprano season. There's been everything from we've been watching a lot of South Korean films ever since I got hooked on Parasites. We went back through his catalog. Tennis season, because that's like a socially distanced thing. I don't know how to fucking play tennis, but I'm standing there with my racket and my fro tied back. The biggest thing for me has really been exploring the state of California safely, getting out in nature. You know, it's like, it's one way that you can stimulate your body, stimulate your mind, be socially distanced, whatever. So doing a little bit of camping. And you know, it's funny, like there is this whole community here in East LA of like rock bands and rock musicians who in their free time like going into the woods and camping and
Hiking and all sorts of stuff.
Yeah, exactly. Like it's a good way to offset all of the noise. You know, I love making noise and banging pots and pans together with my work, so it's good to get quiet. I always joke that my parents are just glad that I don't like have a tattoo artist as a roommate, because if I had a tattoo artist that I could reliably go hang out with, I would be completely covered by it. I would look like Travis Barker by the time we hang out.
The boredom to the next level. It's like, oh, I'm kind of bored. Or like, oh, I saw this on TV. Yeah, that'd be kind of rad. Let me get this person saying or something.
Yeah, I've always been very, very deliberate with my tattoos. They always have told a story, but the older I get, my defenses are breaking. I'm starting to be like, well, that would just look cool. You know, it's tricky line.
Quarantine brings out the best and worst in us.
What can you do?
His name is Grandson. The album, Death of an Optimist. So much going on in this, man, on just musicianship, songwriting level. So rad, man. Off the top of my head, like Left Behind, I think is a jam. I like Left Behind, man. I fucking feel that song, dude. In Over My Head. I like World War III. I think World War III, the elements from World War III are just like, when you listen to it with headphones on, I'm like, damn. And just the changes in the vocal and just all my.
This is why we come to the Gunz Show. Man does his homework.
Oh, man. But yeah, Left Behind is a fucking jam and stuff. Tell me about this album, man, because I really love it on so many levels.
That means so much. I really appreciate it. Well, first off, a lot of the album was actually written before the pandemic. I had been on tour without exaggerating, I had been on tour basically from like March of 2018 to November of 2019. So that's the better part of 2 years on the road. And they were the first 2 years on the road for me. You know, I'm new to this, so it was an incredible whirlwind. And when I got done with that, I just knew I needed to lock into a studio. I had made a whole version of this album that I woke up one day and listened through, and I was like, I can't put this out. This isn't good enough. Scrapped this first iteration and went back in. And I think the biggest thing for this album was I needed a theme to really anchor each song. And hope became that theme, because so much of my music, if anyone that's listening has been following my career, has been about agency in your life, resistance, whether that's political or taking control of your mental health. And it dawned on me that you can't really take that control if you don't have the courage, if you don't have the self-love to see the other side of the storm. If you don't have hope that you can get through what you're going through, then it's really 100 times harder. So for me, that was, do I have hope? And keep in mind, this is during the Trump presidency. This is at a time where it was just so uncertain what the future held. And still, to some degree, it absolutely remains true. But I took that theme of hope and do I still have optimism, and went into every session just trying to approach that theme from different viewpoints, different perspectives. Some songs are obviously much more optimistic, and some are really, really discouraged when I was feeling low.
Right.
So it's a project I did with my main collaborators, Boone and Krupa, who I do every single song with, two producers and best friends of mine. But then I also got to work with legends. I got to work with Mike Shinoda of Linkin Park and Fort Minor. I got to work with Travis Barker. So I got to take what I had built alone with my friends in my living room and work with some of the biggest names in music in the whole world. So it was a crazy whirlwind. And so I had all the music done. February, let's fucking go. We'll put it out in the spring. And then, like everybody else, like lockdown happens. And you're like, well, now what?
Yeah.
Does anyone even want music anymore? Will there even be an internet when this is all over? But I think in quarantine, I really tried to dial into the visual identity of the album because I had the time. I had the free time. It's not like the music was done. I was really, really happy with it. I was still tinkering with the production, but I decided to take it into more of a conceptual place visually. I really allowed the emergence of these different characters in the album. There were already songs that were optimistic and pessimistic, but I wanted to give that pessimistic voice in my head a face and an outfit and a costume. And so that's where this character X that is across the whole album and across the visuals of the album, that's where that all came from. The music videos. Typically in my career, I had always been in the background in music videos and just let the story play out. But with this album, I'm up in front and I'm dancing and I'm acting. And I was trying to just push myself into an uncomfortable place and recreate the magic of being on tour right before you go on stage. Your heart is pounding out of your chest. Right. You don't know what's going to happen. Right. I needed that adrenaline again, or I was just going to lose my mind. And it was in this visual identity of the album that I got that. And that was it. That was the album. It came out in December. It's been 2 months and it's been listened to there have been more than 40 million streams.
A ton, man.
It's cool. But it's weird. You're sitting on your phone refreshing at 11:59 and then at midnight it's out. And in the past, that is in front
celebration.
Of a room.
Yeah.
It's a room full of people. That's champagne popping. And instead, this was just this quiet moment out in the desert in Joshua Tree. And
wow.
And so it was weird. There was this question of you almost forget, does what's happening in my magic rectangle, does my phone mean real human beings? And sure enough, just talking to fans and staying connected, it's cool to see it resonate. But I think like a lot of people, it's tough to feel something right now. It's so much buildup, so much pressure on any given moment in life, and when it comes, it's hard to hold on to it. But it's been nothing but opportunity and excitement for the past couple months, and then the lead single "Dirty" has really been taking off, whether at radio or on Spotify and stuff. So. Yeah. It's cool. I'm just trying to ride the wave and really be present and be grateful because nothing's promised.
Swinging on all cylinders, man. This is all, I feel like, you've been putting out the different chapters, et cetera, or parts to get to here, but now we finally have it. And as somebody who saw you at Irving Plaza 2 years ago, 3 years ago, opening
That's
up.
Right.
So then also at the Brooklyn record store on your last headlining one.
Rough Trade. That's
Rough
right.
Trade. Yeah, Rough Trade. I've seen that progression to now all of a sudden it's oh shit, he is bringing in that concept and that visualization in this latest album and taking these songs to life and bringing apart that rebellious but also scared, frightening, but being strong and just all sorts of fucking emotions that we've had to deal with, but still persevering through it, man. And that's what's been so rad to see from my standpoint of somebody who's been able to know you 3 or 4 years now, man. Very cool.
Thank you, bro. Thank you.
Yeah.
It's all such a journey and we just got to stick with it. I think for me, when I think about my touring career, when I think about my music, I felt like I was on my almost famous moment. You go from playing to 10 people,
it's all
10
happening.
people to 100 people to 300 people to 1,000. And then just as I feel like I'm crossing that threshold, I'm on pause for a year and a half. Right. And I think like a lot of people who pride themselves on being productive and who rely on a sense of momentum. Like that's I need to feel like I'm getting where I'm going. And it felt like we hit pause in the middle of the movie in some ways. And that's been really hard. That's still hard for me. But I hold on to the hope that things are coming back slowly but surely. The vaccinations and stuff are hopefully going to make live music a reality again by the end of the year. And from there, who knows? But it's such a hard process of hoping and working towards some future goal. And this isn't music to anybody watching. You work towards some goal, but you have to find ways to be proud of yourself and celebrate your accomplishments here. Because if my whole journey was just trying to get to play arenas, well, what does that mean now? Like now I can't play them, and it has nothing to do with me. So you have to find ways to enjoy the process, because at any moment something like this could happen, and that goal that you've been working towards gets flipped on its head. So that is why making music, making art, and really taking time to connect one-on-one with fans has been the ways in which I ground this experience while I'm still working harder than ever to keep growing and to be the biggest artist in rock and roll.
And that inner confidence, that inner satisfaction. They always say in order to love others, you need to love yourself. That's all we've always been told that, but it's about being appreciative of yourself. And that's so true what you said, like, oh yeah, I want to headline arenas. Well, guess what? You literally aren't able to headline arenas right now. So that's what you're putting all your faith and hope in. And now that's literally taken from you. That is just going to crumble inside of you, and you're just going to feel really shitty and depressed. So one has to become good with themselves for now in order to keep
that's exactly right. That's exactly right.
We're speaking here with Grandson. The album's out now. The song is ripping up radio, the Billboard charts, etc. We just had a platinum. We went platinum. Dude, I was so pumped, man. I sent out a group email to a lot of people at the label, dude. That's wild. Did you get a phone call? Did you get an email? Did you get a call? How did that happen? Or did it just show up in the mail? Did it just show up?
Man, that's funny. I actually can't remember. I think we got a false start once or twice. Somebody hit me and was like, it went platinum. I was like, oh my God, we did it. And then I got a call a half hour later. I think I got that wrong. It's actually at like 9 something. So by the time it did come around, it was great. It's really, I can't tell you how random it feels, to be honest. Like this song was not the one that we could have pointed to and been like, oh, this is it. The rock song with an EDM drop in the middle of it. It's like,
who would have thought?
I don't think anybody would have. Certainly when I had put in that record out, I had just been dropped from a label. I had been making music for 2-3 years at this point with no real traction, and to be here a couple of years later celebrating 1 million records sold on it is
let's go.
Really, really cool. And it just goes to show, like, nobody had a plan. I didn't. Nobody at the label, and thankfully I work with a label who's honest enough. Well, we definitely did whatever we could, but so much of making art that people connect with is just putting yourself in the position for the universe to do what it's going to do. And sometimes you can have a song that everyone is sure is going to work, and it just kind of falls flat. And then you put something out that, if nothing else, it's at least honest, and it connects with hundreds of millions of people or something. And so, you just can't control it. All the more reason to enjoy it. And it's nice to be reminded how little I know, but I'll take it. I'll take it, and hopefully we get a couple more of them.
One of the first times we spoke, obviously, we talked about Linkin Park's Mike Shinoda, et cetera, and just being able to work with him, and or how he put faith in you, and you guys had that relationship. And I think that was like 2016, 17-ish or whatnot. But I don't know if this ever got back to you, but I interviewed Tom Morello from Rage Against the Machine early last year before pandemic. And when I asked him about who he's really respecting these days or what artists, he did shout you out. He shout out Grandson. And that's Tom Morello, man.
You guys got to know, like, I'm in high school listening to Rage, Audio Slave. Like, my love for Tom and his career goes back. And so, you just don't know. You just don't know. I could never control. If you'd come to me at a time machine and told me when I was 15
Tom fucking Morello, bro,
I'd be making music and have unreleased music with Tom Morello, I would have said you're crazy. But slow and steady. And one more thing to any like bands that are out there that watch this show, like, when I first started, I was so defensive of and insecure about comparisons to Rage Against the Machine, comparisons to Tom Morello's music, because deep down I knew that I was inspired by them. That was always something that was very difficult for me to embrace, because in my mind there's only room for one. And so, no, I'm trying to do my own thing.
Right.
I met Tom Morello. We got to work together, and the very first thing he said was, "I like what you guys are doing. It's fresh. It's drawing on something that's classic rock, but it's taking it forward. Keep it up." And in that moment, I was so liberated. And it's okay to draw inspiration from Rage Against the Machine. It's okay to draw inspiration from Grandson. Like, do it better than me. Take what I do and do it better. I really do think, as long as you're finding ways to tell your own story, I think that don't be scared to be inspired. And whenever I think about my relationship to Tom, that's what I think about, that I have been trying to, emulate the power that his music has brought my whole life. And you won't ever do that. You can't replicate a one-of-one artist like Tom, but somewhere along the way, you could take a shot and end up with a platinum record. Like, that's worth trying. It's worth taking a shot. So, and Tom knows. Tom, if he is ever watching this, I'm coming for that first of 3 in the Rage Against the Machine tour.
Dude,
I've been asking for it. I don't even care. He rolls his eyes every time and changes the subject, but I will grovel if I got to beg. I'm trying to get that opening slot on the arena tour. So
I was so bummed when that was one of my biggest ones last year, that the fact that, Rage was going to reunite for the first time in a decade, and that did not happen. Although Rage did get nominated earlier today officially for Rock and Roll Hall of Fame bid.
First ballot, no question.
Completely. Let's go. 100% on board with you on that one. Also, Jay-Z, I think, also should get it as well. He just got nominated today.
I'm into that.
My picks are Jay-Z, Tina Turner, and Rage. Those are my 3.
I think a couple things. I think number one, by embracing the intersection of rock and hip hop, you will make the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame more accessible to a wider range of people. You'll also make it a more diverse space where kids that are from different backgrounds, different ethnicities, different gender orientation, whatever, everybody should be able to look into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame and see themselves. You know what I mean? So I'm all for the inclusion of hip hop. And also, come on, Collision Course, Jay-Z, Linkin Park. That shit right there. That's what if both of those artists had only dropped that one album, they should still be in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, because that's the best album.
Damn right. Numb Into Encore, just some points of authority on all those. Come on now. Come on. Let's go. Let's go. My man, Grandson. Listen, always a pleasure. The song is Ripping Up Radio that you can go and support right now. We need it. It's top 10. We need
dirty. Get your hands dirty.
Top 1. Let's go. We need dirty to the top. Dirty pop. Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Justin Timberlake right there. We've got the new album, though. So damn good. And listen, Death of an Optimist, my man, Grandson. Always one of the, I respect the hell out of you, man. And I've always told you this. I appreciate your words, and because you take the time to learn and read as much as you possibly can and look at other viewpoints and kind of put together, but also you're not afraid to stand up and fucking say what you believe. And I feel like a voice is so important these days, and you're very well spoken, but you're also well educated. And a lot of it you teach yourself, and it is an inspiration to other kids and younger people out there that you too can also just read and just learn. And there's nothing, education is so important, and you can do it to yourself, man.
It's a superpower, and it's free.
Power. Yeah, it's
free.
Literally.
You look online about something that you care about. It's unbelievable. It feels good. So thank you again for having me. Every single Saturday or Sunday, rather, every Sunday, if you guys want to hang out, I'm doing a live on my YouTube channel. We're having conversations just like this. When we're done at this quarantine shit, man, I got to get you to come hang out for sure. You got to come to LA. We'll to go hiking. We'll hang out. I'll give you the whole Grandson experience.
Man, I'd be so stoked for that. And be safe until then for sure. And dude, continuing to crush it. Grandson, let's go.
Thank you. Thanks for having me here on the Gunz Show, baby.
Boom. You only live once. You live like us. Once is enough. That's Grandson. This is Gunz. This is the Gunz Show. Ballin'.